She want to
always
support
had to choose
the
strength
man
in every
who God
situation
gave her
she's
to be
dealing
with. She want to be a helpmeet.
Sometimes
The thing is,
being
she's
strong
been
is a
placed in
burden
this
for her.
position where she's
She don't want to be
had
strong all the
lead.
time.
When you see videos like these on TikTok, you know you're going to be inundated with tons of comments basically saying, I'm tired, someone can rescue me, I need my Prince Charming, I need a break from life. And it's kind of a commiseration gathering place, if you will, for women talking about a lot of the things that they're finding difficulty with or things that they are dissatisfied with in their lives. Now, it's interesting that this is the case because as a lot of the articles around the ethos state, this actually should be the time when women should be happier than ever. But that's not necessarily the case, and there are tons of reasons why. But when I hear comments like these, or when I watch TikToks like these, I think about the way I've been culturalized or socialized here in Japan. And here they have this term called shoganai or shikataganai. And what it really means is when I come up against something that I know that is out of my control, I write it off to something that I can't do anything about. So that's technically what it means. And learning this phrase has actually helped me have a better, more fulfilling look at life because it helps me focus on my controllables, something I think would help women leaps and bounds in the dating situation in America.
Please, 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 please.
This article from The Guardian is titled, Gains in Women's Rights Haven't Made Women Happier. Why is that? And so they talk about women are living longer and they're making gains in political, economic, and social freedoms. But the paradox of declining female happiness was pointed out by these two economists who were comparing the happiness from 1970 to 2005. And what they discovered was American women rated their overall life satisfaction higher than men in the 1970s. By the 1990s, women were less happy than men. So it's a paradox. Why, with more gains, more freedom, the freedom to dissolve a marriage when you want to, get child support, and women are still congregating to the same types of social media posts like the ones that started this video and commiserating what's happening, what's wrong.
I think feminism is the worst thing that ever happened to women. Our job used to be no job.
One thing that's interesting about living here is that you see different kinds of TikToks go viral or semi-viral. This one has 55,000 likes, so I guess that's technically viral. And you see that it says, Ichinichi dake no shiawase no hoho. So how to be happy if you want to be happy for one day. So the first one says, Ichinichi shiawase ni naritai nara, kame o kirinasai. So if you want to be happy for one day, cut your hair. 1週間幸せになりたいなら旅行に行きなさい. So if you want to be happy for a week, go on a trip. 1ヶ月幸せになりたいなら車を買いなさい. So if you want to be happy for a month, buy a new car. 1年幸せになりたいなら結婚しなさい. So if you want to be happy for a year, get married. 一生幸せになりたいなら素直になりなさい. So if you want to be happy for a lifetime, you should be sunao, you can see at the bottom, which means roughly sincere or genuine. Technically, it could mean honest, but being more aware of your surroundings and living a life that is, you're honest with yourself. You are a person that is upfront. And then at the bottom it says mono ya taji nado. So for things or other people outside of yourself, 幸せを求める、求めてもそれが、それは、so even if you look for happiness outside of yourself, it will only be temporary happiness. 一時的なものに過ぎない. So that's all it'll be. 本当の幸せは自分の中にある. If you want to find true happiness, the happiness is inside you. These kind of TikToks go viral. So you hear that kind of advice and you think, that's not advice that just applies to women. It's advice that applies to everyone. Look for happiness inside yourself.
And then all these women had to show off and be like, we could do it. We could do anything. Shut up. Don't tell them the secret.
So in direct contrast to the previous video that said look inward, you get advice like this from Essence. Women aren't selfish for choosing their happiness over marriage, as if they're exclusive. Here's why Tia Mowry and every woman have a right to prioritize their happiness. And you can see the article when it's dated. So, but no, at the end of the day, are they happy? Are they thriving? Are they growing? It's really about, again, are you happy? Because life is really short. This is what Tia Mowry said. And of course, it's not really about they, because the kids probably aren't happy, but nobody cares about the kids. Long-term happiness, this is the author. My long-term happiness was more important than staying in a marriage, so she left the marriage as well. It wasn't serving me because my health and my well-being matter as a black woman. So does Maury's. And then she argues for the merits of divorce and that young children can do well in divorce. Okay. Admittedly, breaking up your family is one of the most gut-wrenching things you can do. But as a child who came from a two-parent home, she was lucky enough to have that, wasn't she? She says that her mother was unhappy. She can say that it wasn't best for the kids, but she doesn't know the alternative. Now, does she? Quite frankly, I don't think women's happiness should be up for debate. The conversation shouldn't solely be about whether women should stay in a marriage because divorces are inevitable. And then she argues again for, and you can see here, this is Tia Mowry at mid-40s, no closer to happiness than she was when she was born.
Sometimes being strong is a burden for her. She don't want to be strong all the time, but she got no choice.
So back to shikata ga nai, shouga nai. So back in the West, we have this idea that everything in your marriage is supposed to be exciting, hot, heavy, whatever, for the duration of the marriage. And if there's a lapse in that, then there's something wrong. You got to do something about it, as you saw with Tia Mowry. But the shoganai, shikataganai principle, basically, if I were married and I went to, an elder and they said, our marriage is kind of boring, it's routine, they would basically say, shoganai, shikataganai. That's just the way it works. Marriage is not supposed to be exciting, hot, heavy all the time. That's just marriage. It gets boring, it gets routine. That's just what it is. A cool thing about living in a country that has so much history and culture is that these kinds of wise sayings, they call them kotowaza, are all over the place. And so this particular one says, Kofuku e no ooki na shougai to wa. The biggest obstacle to happiness, amari ni mo ooku no shiawase o kitai sugiru koto da, is having too many expectations of happiness. Again, the biggest obstacle to happiness is having too many expectations of happiness. When I come across these kinds of sayings, I can't help but reform the way I live my life. And I think one thing that's happened in the West is that a lot of young ladies have just soaring expectations for their mates, and it's made it so difficult for regular guys to have sustainable relationships because you can't be funny all the time, you can't entertain all the time, and even to your personal life. The idea that you're going to go overseas and things are going to be perfect, no. You're going to go overseas and things are going to be different. Lower those expectations, temper them, and then be politely delighted when you run into things that succeed your expectations. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, guys.